proposed food irradiation plant where the company Stereotech, who have two plants, one in Wetherill Park in Sydney and one in Dandenong in Victoria's east. And they irradiate a variety of different products down there. But the one up here is going to be irradiating food, basically, with doses of gamma rays from cobalt-60 rods. And the radiation levels they'll be using on our food is hundreds of times the potency that would kill a human being. So our food is going to be subject to these very deadly rays. We're going to lose vitamin A, B, E, B6, B12, essential amino acids in our foods, all for the I guess the profit of these companies involved in this industry.
The nuclear industry is desperate to find ways of using their waste radioactive materials for profit. The proposed food irradiation experiment means we would be their guinea pigs.
Say it comes at a price.
As a consumer, we do not know the consequences of eating irradiated food. Studies have shown that irradiated food causes up to 80% loss of nutrients in the food. It can cause long-term health effects such as leukemia and cancers.
Each dose of radiation you receive is cumulative and adds to your risk of getting cancer. Then there's gamma radiation, which is just like X-rays, which is the sort of radiation that this plant would irradiate the food with if you let it in. They're getting worse, and Australia is becoming more and more nuclearised.
Our concerns are the environmental risks that may be associated with this development and the actual need for such a drastic solution to be used to decontaminate and sterilise products.
Food irradiation was devised to promote the shelf life of fresh foods. However, the process reduces the nutritional value of foods, destroys the life factor of foods, enzymes, changes the natural structure of the food, and some harmful, powerful bacteria and chemical changes develop. Food irradiation subjects food to gamma rays from radioactive cobalt-60, cesium-137 or electron beams. Gamma rays cause known and unknown chemical changes, creating free radicals. These are impaired atoms or molecules, which are extremely reactive and recombine in innumerable ways. Even though Australian regulations will require that packaged irradiated food is clearly labelled irradiated, it will be impossible for fresh fruit and vegetables, bulk produce, processed foods and prepared meals including restaurant meals containing irradiated ingredients to be labelled. Irradiation facilities use huge amounts of radioactive isotopes. Cobalt-60 decays at about 1% per month and so has to be replaced regularly, meaning that large quantities of radioactive materials will frequently be transported through densely populated areas. Dr. John W. Goffman from the University of California, Berkeley, spoke out against irradiated food. He was quoted saying, "What we do know with certainty is that irradiation causes a host of unnatural and sometimes undefinable chemicals to be formed within irradiated foods. Our ignorance about these foreign components makes it simply a fraud to tell the public that we know irradiated foods would be safe to eat. It's a dishonourable trick telling people to buy irradiated food because such behaviour is a violation of the basic human right."
So they had the place pretty well organised. When we got here, we wanted to arrange it for our stock. So we cleared it for the cattle, we got rid of the big trees, we got rid of the habitat for the koala and the possums and the gliders and everything like that, and replaced it with our own agricultural system. It's important to realise that this was an intensively maintained area prior to the arrival of whites, and it provided everything from medicine to food, and it was deliberately farmed.
Now, the impact assessment they had done here was recommended that they retain the vegetation along the ridges because it was a wildlife corridor. And as you can see, here's the ridges. We're standing on the ridges now. What they've done, they've cleared them to make way for the industrial estate. Right, they've just absolutely raped this ecosystem.
That there goes into the creek. It's a drain, and it'll catch the runoff from Stereotech. Now, where's our written guarantee it's not going to be radioactive? It's going to run into this creek down here, which then runs into the bay. This is all part of the Saltwater Creek catchment. I mean, you can't do this.
It's a tributary of Saltwater Creek. Now, we brought a laser level over here and we measured from the dry creek bed to this point up here, which is the highest part in the block, and it's 7 metres. It's a little under 7 metres. Their containment tank is going to be 8.5 metres below ground level. Right now, if they build their site back down here, they're building down here, and it's on the ground there, and it's 8.5 metres below that, there's going to be something in excess of 2 metres of their containment tank below the creek bed level. Right now, this area, there's a lot of acid sulphate soil. And the acid in that soil will eventually eat away the concrete. So it's starting to look like it's quite a serious situation, really.
We claim it's discrimination because they really don't want to give credence to people who are renters because they don't pay the council.
And it's a
wrong
low socio-economic area.
Absolutely.
And consequently, people like the council think, who cares? Except that there's one problem. They're human beings.
Absolutely.
And we all care.
The Wiltshire Council has changed the definition in council of what a nuclear-free zone is, so that a nuclear irradiation facility can be installed over here.
It's not a matter of science. It's not a matter of scientific progress. It's greed. They want to import.
We want a clean future, not a toxic nation. No nuclear plant for food radiation. We want a clean future, not a toxic nation. No nuclear plant for food radiation. We want a clean future, not a toxic nation.
All you can do is lies and deceit.
major effects on the environment, both with disposing of the nuclear waste. Now, that's been a huge issue worldwide for many years now. What do you do with nuclear waste? Do you bury it? Do you dump it in the ocean? Or what do you do? I think you don't use it at all. I think you get rid of the entire industry.
And that's the thing that I can't come to terms with. There's a set of rules for us and there's a set of rules for them. And that doesn't make sense to me.
Do they claim that difference is because it's in an industrial area?
I don't care whether it's in an industrial area or whatever. If I wanted to put up here something that my neighbours objected to, the council would knock me back. I'd only have to have 10 people object to it. They've got 3,000 or more people objecting to it. How many people have signed petitions objecting to it? But there's 3,000 in this community objecting to it.
And they still won't do it.
And they're still putting it in.
Because there's too much money changing hands.
Well, this all seems to be going according to plan. Here, this for the next election.
Why, thank you.
At the moment, we're waiting on a statement of reasons from Environment Australia so that we can then proceed with a judicial review of Senator Hill's approval of the application. And hopefully that will bring the Stereotech thing to an end.
Say categorically, Stereotech is not going to enhance the growth of it. 25 years of radioactive cobalt stored on site is not going to be good. Whatever runs off out of there, whatever irradiated dust comes off their plant, it's going to run into this creek. Obviously the workers are going to be exposed, they're not going to be pretty happy about it. And in the unlikely but still catastrophic event of an accident, where is that going to run? It's going to run into this creek, and not only is it radioactive, it's toxic. It's actually toxic to life. Heavy metal. It's a heavy metal. So you've got double jeopardy.
This is a legacy that I'm going to leave for future generations.
How will they cope with Stereotech?
Well, that'll kill them. Just that work being going over there, the building being built is going to kill wildlife. Because it's part of the koala corridor and the wildlife corridor. I can release the wildlife here and it's safe. But with Stereotech in, it won't be, will it? Nor will we. My plan is to make sure that Stereotech doesn't go ahead in Queensland, or for that matter in Australia. First and foremost, I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I think that for me to leave this world in a worse condition than when I came into it would be immoral. I owe it to my children and my grandchildren to make it a much better place than it was when I came here. And that means preventing Stereotech from going ahead.
Painted sky before my eyes, you and me wishing softly, we go dance the sunrise. Empty glass of faded smile, looking out across the water, taking chances for